You're watching Building the Franchise with the New England Patriots, only on the MBL Network.
He loves to do that. You know, I can see him someday coaching that. So, and then I just think him watching film and understanding.
Find out which New England Patriot Devin McCourty is referring to on this episode of Building the Franchise. Season 20 is officially in the books, and congratulations once again to Lip and his Pittsburgh Steelers for back-to-back Super Bowl trophies. But first things first with the Patriots offseason moves. After the firing of Griffin Murphy at the beginning of the playoffs, Matt Hedrick is now the head coach of the New England Patriots. He comes in with a zone-run offensive scheme, something that we're wanting to implement in the following year, and a attacking 3-4 defense, something that we already have some moves in place to take care of and make our team a better 3-4 team than last year. We do have the option at this point to franchise tag running back Dion Lewis, but we're going to let him go. We're going to let him walk in the offseason, as well as Danny Amendola. Neither one of those guys were really as productive as we wanted them to be. Dion Lewis couldn't stay healthy, and Amendola was just overshadowed once we brought in Braxton Miller. He wasn't looked at as much. He wasn't as quick in and out of the cuts, so we're going to let him go as well. And we knew this was a move that we were going to make whenever we traded for Braxton Miller. We knew we were going to move on from Danny Amendola, so it's really not a surprise to the organization. We did release left outside linebacker Shea McClellan, middle linebacker Perry Riley Jr., strong safety Patrick Chung, and wide receiver Chris Hogan. All of these guys they still had some time left on their contract, but we decided to move past them. We have some other options that we're looking at in both in free agency and in the draft, so we're going to move past their big contracts for their small production that they've given us so far in New England. Reporters caught up to Devin McCourty in the locker room as the team was clearing out their lockers for the season, and he had this to say about the recently released safety Patrick Chung.
Here working on techniques, especially footwork, and he loves to do that. You know, I can see him someday coaching that. So, and then I just think him watching film and understanding, he really knows everything going on in the secondary, and I think that competitive edge always has helped him.
Does he have some of the best hands among you guys? Because it seems like when it's there, he catches it.
That's how he feels. So I don't want to knock his confidence. So I'll say yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, Patrick Chung is a good safety, but at the same time, he's kind of expensive and he's getting older. He's losing his step, and he didn't look so great at the end of the season. So we're going to move on from him and move on to some other players that we're targeting in free agency. Not necessarily the safety position, but there's some big changes coming to the offensive side of the ball for New England. Before we get into those changes, though, we do have a trade pending. We have a trade with the Washington Redskins. We're sending this year's second-round pick and next year's third-round pick for the 23-year-old middle linebacker Cravens. He's going to work excellent alongside of Bingham. And everything we've seen on film, he's just the kind of middle linebacker that we want. He's still young, just like Bingham, so he gives us some more depth at the middle linebacker position. It's definitely something that we need. And as for the changes on the offensive side of the ball that I was talking about, check out the newest addition to the New England Patriots offense. Despite being 33 years old now, Adrian Peterson still is more of an elusive back than LeGarrette Blount is. It's something that we've been wanting to have for a while, a speed back and a power back, kind of a thunder and lightning approach, and Adrian Peterson brings that to the Patriots. Peterson really didn't see the field that much in Minnesota, but honestly that's nobody's fault but Minnesota's. They had Adrian Peterson and they set him on the bench. What Minnesota failed to realize is, yes, Adrian Peterson isn't as fast as he used to be, but he's still explosive. He's still going to break plays. He may have a few plays that are 1 or 2 yards, and then he may have a 60-yard touchdown. So you really You got to stick with the guy. He's a little older, but he's still elusive. He's still going to break tackles. He's still going to juke past people. He's still going to spin past people. He's still going to score touchdowns. So with that being said, welcome to the New England Patriots, Adrian Peterson. And with AP being our biggest offseason acquisition in free agency, it's time to move on to the MBL draft. And with the 16th pick in the MBL draft, we selected tight end Stanley Corliss out of Ole Miss. He's a guy who we're looking to kind of have a Aaron Hernandez, Rob Gronkowski type role alongside of Gronk. This kid had a lot of MBL scouts looking at him, and we're just lucky that he fell all the way to 16 so we could take him. Along with Adrian Peterson, this acquisition of Corliss has Matt Hedrick, the new head coach, super excited headed into the preseason. As a quick recap of the offseason we lost Dion Lewis, Patrick Chung, Danny Amendola, and Chris Hogan, but we also drafted Stanley Corliss. He's really the only great player that we drafted. The other two are mediocre, playing backup roles. And we also added Cravens, Peterson, Williams, and DeAnthony Thomas for kick returner.
One on tap today, and there's going to be two quarterbacks ready to get it done on the gridiron. It's the Patriots going up against the Seahawks.
For the first game of the preseason, we're in Seattle against the Seahawks. It's definitely not an easy place to play. It's somewhere that the crowd is always a factor. You know, they've got their quote-unquote 12th man, and you really got to watch out for penalties and just stupid mistakes while you're in Seattle. But we have some things we want to work on this game. We want to try to get some more chemistry between Miller, Edelman, Gronk, and Doering. They had most of the season last year, but with Doering being out some of the season for an injury, we want to just continue to work on the chemistry between those guys. And we also want to continue to work on that attacking 3-4 defense. What we're really looking for is a bend but don't break style defense. We'll let you drive down the field. We'll let you throw the ball on us. But at the end of the day, once you get to the red zone, we plan on taking the ball away from you or holding you to a field goal. Preferably taking the ball away, of course, through fumble or interception. But you're not going to get in the end zone. We don't want you to score touchdowns. We want you to kick field goals or turn the ball over. So that's really what we're working on. And in this game, we done just that. We took the ball away 5 times from the Seahawks total throughout the game, and we held them to only 50% offense in the red zone. So half the time they made it, half the time they didn't. Obviously, we want that to be a little better. But for the first preseason game, you're getting out the jitters and the nervousness for the season. It's really not that big of a deal. We also had Stanley Corliss score his first touchdown as a New England Patriot. He scored the touchdown toward the end of the game, and we went for 2 for the win, to win 25-24. It's something that this team is extremely excited for, is the lack of fear that the new head coach brings to New England and is willing to make those big decisions to try to win games. For our second preseason matchup, we went up against Decca and the San Francisco 49ers with their second-year quarterback Woodard, who last season threw 16 touchdowns and 41 interceptions. The New England and San Francisco organizations aren't really that familiar with each other, especially the ownership. With the new ownership in San Francisco, we've never matched up against them. We don't really know what they're bringing to the table. But one thing I do know is they shut us down at the beginning of the game. We had a horrible, slow start to this game, and even throughout the game, we still couldn't get the running game going. We only managed to get 8 rushing yards all game between Blunt and AP. We did go out right before this game, though, and sign wide receiver Kenny Bell. He's another young guy who didn't get a lot of playing time on his previous team, and he's going to add some depth to the wide receiver core in New England. We threw to him often in this game to try to test him out against a real defense. We'd seen him in practice, but it's not the same as a real-time game. So we threw to him a good bit in the game just to see what he could do, and he impressed. He ended up, after this game, he became our 4th-string wide receiver for the team. So it's great when you can bring people in off the sidelines, off the bench, from their couch, wherever they're at, and they can produce for you. The biggest key point for the second preseason game, though, was our defense. They didn't really do that great at the beginning of the game, but the backups against the San Francisco backups really stepped up. They had 6 turnovers in the game, which ended up giving our offense a short field on a lot of the possessions we had at the end of this game. And Stanley Corliss ended up scoring his 2nd touchdown in 2 preseason games now. Yes, it's against backups on the teams, but at the same time, he's still showing his ability to find the ball in the end zone whenever the team gets down in the red zone. So if you got Gronk and Corliss catching touchdowns in the end zone, it's going to be a rough day for the opposing defense. In week 3 of the preseason, we went up against the Houston Texans. The Texans ended up winning the game 27-10. But even bigger than that, we lost Stanley Corliss. He broke his collarbone. He's going to be out 7 weeks. And this is obviously a huge blow to the Patriots organization. We brought him in with our first-round pick, and even though we have Rob Gronkowski, we still expected him to produce on the team. And this injury is just going to set that back a little bit. He's going to return for the Week 6 matchup against the Green Bay Packers. But for this Week 1 game, we have the Miami Dolphins coming into Foxborough. Yes, the Dolphins finished their season last year winless, 0-16, whatever you want to call it. But it's a new season. You never know. I know the Dolphins did have some pretty decent offseason moves, so they might be a little harder to deal with this season than last season. But like I said, even though they were winless last year, we still have to prepare for them 100% as if they finished last year winning the Super Bowl. We have to prepare like that for every game, regardless of who it is, and especially against division opponents.
Opening week in the NFL is an exciting time for everybody, including these two teams here today. It's the Dolphins going up against the Patriots.
And just as we expected, the Miami Dolphins came in and played a tough game against us. We took a shot the first play of the game, tried to hit Edelman deep, but he couldn't get any separation. We turned the ball over on our first drive. Our defense stepped up big throughout this game, though. We ended up having 6 takeaways, 5 interceptions, and 1 fumble recovery. The fumble recovery came from a play where the Dolphins were doing a little stretch or pitch play out to the outside and were pretty much in the end zone, and he got stripped right at the line. We recovered the ball right inside the end zone. Doering had his share of mistakes too, though. He threw 3 interceptions this game. It seemed almost as if he was shaking a little bit from the losses at the end of the preseason. Even though it's preseason, sometimes that can get in the players' heads a little bit, and that seemed to be what happened. Doering did score his first rushing touchdown of his career, though, a little QB sneak from the goal line. He did show the ability to find a couple different receivers in the game, though. He didn't really focus on just one player. He had 3 different receivers with 3 receptions each, so he spread the ball around well, which is what we want to see him do. We don't want to see him focus on just one player so the defense can key in on that player, and he doesn't really have any confidence with his other receivers to get the ball to him. So that's something that's a positive to take from the game. DeAnthony Thomas caught his first touchdown of the season, first touchdown as a New England Patriot, so that's another positive for the team. And the bend but don't break defensive mindset that we had going into this season seemed to pay off in this game. We held the Dolphins to only 33% in the red zone and 33% on third downs. That's what you need to do to win games. If you can keep the teams out of the end zone, keep them from putting any points on the board when they're in the red zone, and stop them on third down to give the ball back to your offense, that's the winning recipe for any football game. And that's what we're going to look to do this whole season as the Patriots go 1-0 on the season so far, winning 14-3 against Miami. For our Week 2 matchup, we head to Nashville, Tennessee to take on the 0-1 Titans, who just suffered a loss in Week 1 against the Buffalo Bills 24-14. The Bills were able to force 2 fumbles that game and get an interception from Mariota, so that's something we're going to look to continue it into Week 2, and hopefully our defense will have the same success.
We've got a pair of wide receivers who certainly want to be targeted throughout the game. It's Edelman's Patriots going up against Marshall's Titans.
It was obvious from the very beginning of this game that the weather was going to play a factor. The first drive of the game, we had players slipping, falling to the ground out of their routes. We had quarterbacks overthrowing their receivers. It was just not very good conditions to play football in, and it came down to who was able to make the least amount of mistakes throughout the game. Overall, the Patriots, we had a horrible offensive outing. Nick Doering threw 4 interceptions and no touchdowns. Adrian Peterson was held to 1 yard on 9 attempts, and LeGarrette Blount got injured in this game. He dislocated his elbow, which is a 6-week injury. The lack of ability to run the ball on offense put so much more pressure on Doering, and the weather conditions did not help. From the very beginning of the game, we couldn't run the ball. We ended up having to throw more often, and the ball was just slipping out of his hands, overthrowing receivers, underthrowing receivers. It was ugly. But for the Titans, they at least had something going for them. Their rookie wide receiver, Gabe Williamson, pretty much put the team on his back and helped get them through all the issues that both teams were having. They helped the Titans get through their issues that they were having on their side, whereas we didn't have somebody on our side that stepped up like that. Williamson finished the game with 5 receptions for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns was a huge 75-yard. He caught the ball and pretty much just outran everyone. I believe he broke 1 tackle and then took off, and none of our team was catching him. Being that this was Williamson's first career touchdown as a Tennessee Titan, first career touchdown in the NBL, he was not letting anyone stop him. Regardless of who was chasing him, he was giving it 150% on that play to get that first touchdown of his career. The Titans ended up winning this game 23-10 in Nashville. After a 27-10 win in Buffalo in Week 3, we move on to Miami Week number 4. We're visiting Miami this time around. If you'll remember from the first game of the season, Week 1, it was a pretty close game. It was 14-3. Just a few plays separated the teams. So the Dolphins are coming in at 0-3. They're looking kind of like another 0-16 team, but we know better than that. We know that they're a tough opponent, and it's somebody that we're not going to overlook. We're coming into this week with both of our wins on the season so far being against division opponents, and that's something that we didn't quite capitalize on last year. We didn't sweep the division all the way across, so we're going to try to do that this season, of course, and hopefully we'll have more success this time around.
The second meeting of the year on tap here between these two fierce AFC rivals. These teams know each other very well.
Once again in this game, Tannehill continued to basically prove what everyone in the NBL is saying, that his time in Miami should be over. The Dolphins should have selected a quarterback with their number 1 pick in the last NBL draft, and for whatever reason they didn't. And it's kind of coming back to bite them, because once again they're having a horrible season. Tannehill's leading the way. He threw 4 more interceptions in this game, 2 of which were by Logan Ryan, and our defense pretty much held up this whole game. We held the Dolphins to 45% on third down, which is a success if you think about being able to get off the field and give your offense back the ball. Delring did have a few mistakes himself. He threw 2 interceptions, one of which was a pick 6, and the other one was deep in our own side of the field, so it ended up giving the Dolphins a really short field. And like I said, he's not against making mistakes. He makes them too, but at the same time, he's not a veteran like Tannehill. He hasn't been around as long. He's still learning the game, whereas Tannehill's been around for plenty long enough that some of the mistakes he makes he should not be making them. This is his 6th season in the NBL, and he's making mistakes like he's a rookie, like it's his 3rd game of the season and the 3rd game of his career in the NBL. But besides that, Adrian Peterson did have a pretty good game for us. He scored 2 times, 1 out of Wildcat and 1 on a goal-to-go situation. He does still seem to be struggling to find long yardage situations, find big holes and make big gains, but he's getting it done in the red zone, and he already has 3 touchdowns, which is only 1 less than LeGarrette Blount had all last season, and we're only 4 weeks into the season, so I'm not too terribly mad with that. He is kind of expensive to just be a goal line back, but hopefully he'll be able to break out in the next few games and prove why we brought him here. And Jamie Collins, he got 2 sacks in the game, and now he's tied for the NBL lead with 6, so that's something we're going to keep an eye on throughout the season. The Patriots do hold on to win 24-12 in Miami, sweeping the Dolphins for the season. Our Week 5 matchup is going to be against the Jacksonville Jaguars for Part 2 of the Building the Franchise Bowl. I'm going to send you guys over to Bomber and Sonny, who are on the call for the NBL Live game. And if you want to watch it afterwards and you want to watch the whole game and not just the highlights, it's going to be on the NBL Live playlist on the NBL Network channel, so make sure you check that out as well.
January 2nd, it's the new year, NBL Live, first game of the new year. We're going to kick it off with Building the Franchise Bowl. We got the 3-0 Jacksonville Jaguars at home trying to redeem that loss that they had against the Patriots in the BTF Bowl, the first one. So we got Bomber on the mic, we got Sonny on the mic, and Delvar behind the scenes doing productions. Stay tuned for the big game coming up, and we hope you enjoy it. He said there's going to be a cold breeze in Jacksonville during the BTF Bowl, and that he's speaking of Drew Brees, the veteran quarterback leading this team with Coach Sean Payton. They brought him in, Gibbs brought him in, and I think they just need to just get behind this veteran quarterback and just let him do his thing, throwing the ball to Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns, and hitting the running game off with rookie Von Reed. Yeah, guys, this is the second Building the Franchise Bowl. One of the only bowl game in the NBL right now is a toss to Von Reed to the outside. Doesn't look like he picks up any, actually loses a yard. It's going to put them at a 3rd and 7. And this is one of the things I was interested in seeing, Sonny. Are the Patriots going to be able to step up right now and make some big plays in the red zone or right outside of the red zone defensively against this Jacksonville team and hold them to 3 points? Because that's going to be the key here, because you don't want to get yourself down in a hole against a team who has such a tough defense like Jacksonville does.
Quick screen pass to the outside to the prolific Robinson. He's going to be down. It's going to be short of the first down. So New England's defense comes up big, holds them in the red zone, and Jacksonville's going to be forced to kick a field goal here. Big stop there by New England.
I think actually the turning point of Nick Dorian's career came last season in the Building the Franchise Bowl, the very first one where he just led the Patriots up and down the field against Jacksonville, and they ended up coming away with that W. Thus far this season, hasn't played too great in 4 games, 48.7 QBR. Definitely hasn't been the player that they hoped he would get off to. Maybe a little bit in a sophomore slump. He's 3 touchdowns to 9 interceptions and only 4 sacks. So the pressure hasn't been as bad as it's showing on his QBR. Maybe he's feeling a little rushed, and maybe he's just not as comfortable in the pocket as he should be as a second-year player in this offense.
First sighting of TJ Yeldon on the day there. They do throw it out to him, and they're going to be short there. But surprisingly, Yeldon just not been a factor. He's not had a carry on the year up to this point. So surprised to see Yeldon in the game there at all. One thing I would look to though here is the tight end sensation, Rob Gronkowski, lined up there in the slot. That would be the man I'm looking to here on 3rd and 11.
Yeah, expect a lot more targets to Rob Gronkowski this game. Hopefully Nick Dorian doesn't get caught forcing it down the field, as he had Gronk wide open over the middle of the field, and just, and that's the inconsistencies of a young player in the NBL. You got the veteran, 3rd and 12. This is where they said Blake Bortles struggled the most last year. So having a guy like Drew Brees in the backfield, being your captain, hopefully they can allow them to pick up plays just like that as they run a quick out to Allen Robinson on the left. A nice little out route, push to the first down marker as he picks it up against that cover 4 defense of the New England Patriots. Big first down by Jacksonville right there. Well, I think the plan is to let the defense ball out and put them in position to do some big things. It's over the middle, fumble by Drew Brees on cue, picked up by the Patriots down to the 35, and wow, Sonny, the red zone woes continue. That's right, I said red zone woes. They continue for the New England Jacksonville Jaguars as New England stops them once again, doesn't give up anything.
Makes perfect sense. There's something here, New England. New England's getting a lot of pressure here from Jacksonville, trying to take these deep shots as they do finally get one.
Oh, there he goes.
In mid-sentence. Oh, my God.
Whoa, what a throw and touchdown, baby. Yeah, if we can touch on that tight end for a little bit, that's Stanley Corliss, 6'5", and they called him Gronk 2.0, which was the funny part. He was selected 17th in the first round of MBL Season 20 rookie draft. That's right, he's a rookie right now, but he's been injured, and there was rumors that he's coming back for MBL for this big bowl game, right, for the Building the Franchise Bowl, this huge rivalry that's just been brewing and just been talked about since last season. They're playing again. How are we going to promote this? And they're like, oh, we got these 2 tight ends. You got Gronk and Gronk 2.0 on the same team. They're going to run it, be able to run it, pass it, however you want it. And he goes down early in the preseason, so he won't be making his return until week 6, which will be next week, debuting for the Patriots. And
3rd and 2, this is a big 3rd down here for Drew Brees as he drops back to throw on the play. He does hit the wide open tight end coming across the field there. Goldilocks there comes up with the reception, Percy, and that's going to set up a first down at the 16-yard line.
Yeah, let's see how creative it looks like. It's going to be up the middle right here, taking it down, possibly a touchdown. Looks at the 1. That could easily be challenge the spot of that ball. Minute 44 left. Nice drive by Jacksonville. Looks like they're finally going to be able to punch in that touchdown that's been eluding them for the last 2 or 3 drives. 3 drives exactly for Jacksonville.
And this is Reed territory right here. This is what you went out and got him for. But instead it's Drew Brees getting the touchdown.
Well, if he had 3 receptions, that'd be a lot of Wildcat and him catching the ball. He has 3 completions, not receptions just yet, as he whips it out the back. He slings that like I think he's in Westworld right now, and he's having a gunfight. He's just slinging that ball from his hip. Did you see that throw, Sonny?
Dorian taking a lot of time at the line here, checking the play. Going to be a play action on first down, and that's picked off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not at all. And so 3rd down, 42-yard line here for Jacksonville. Drew Brees, 3rd and 13. You've got a veteran quarterback here. You can make the play downfield if need be here. So look for Jacksonville to try to convert this. Sitting on a 3-point lead here in the 4th quarter is not going to be a good way to win. So they're going to have to make a play here as Brees does push it downfield, but it's intercepted.
Dude, X wide open across the middle of the field, forced down the field. McCourty picks that off, and I think Drew Brees might be listening to our broadcast, and I'm thinking, you don't have to force it down the field. Just pick up enough yards to get a field goal or something. Get something away from this drive as Drew Brees goes for the whole enchilada and comes up a lot of short on that one as it's intercepted by New England. But, man, right over the middle of the field, wide open, coming from the left side. I believe it was Allen Robinson. 2nd and 9, and Doran stuck at the line again thinking this has never been good for him all game. He looks like he's going to take off. No, he takes a step and throws it up the field for a nice gain to Julian Edelman down to the 38-yard line, and a little two-step and let it rip from Doran. Doran seems to do a lot better when he takes a couple steps out the pocket or he's throwing on the run. And there was the pressure coming, but they find Adrian Peterson down to the 10. Yeah, but Jacksonville's burned their timeout, so that's also an interesting theory. If you can get some stops, now you have 3 of your timeouts, you settle for this field goal, and it's not end-all, be-all as far as with timeouts with you if you can put points on the board here and get it tied up at 13.
Yeah, but realistically, you only have to travel about 50 yards to get in field goal range here. So 50 yards in a minute 45, not a huge deal. I would look for Jacksonville to be able to do that. So once again, like I said, New England here, although they do look to throw here, they throw it, and New England does it.
Oh, no, big Gronk daddy. Touchdown, Rob Gronkowski, Sonny. Tell me, baby, did you see it coming? Doran, wow, man, I couldn't imagine Doran came out of that huddle from the offensive coordinator with the pass play in mind.
Allen Robinson, yes. Kenny Stills, no. I think you just hope as Brees throws an interception.
That's game.
And that's going to be game. New England comes away with it. Cyrus Jones gets the pick, 3rd interception of the season, and none bigger than that one. So New England appears that they're going to win the BTF Bowl 2.0, and Jacksonville is going to regret this one as they were in control early, but they're not going to come away with that win.
So even though our offense struggled during this game against the Jaguars, we move on to 2-0 in the Building the Franchise Bowl and 4-1 on the season. But that's going to do it for this episode of Building the Franchise with the New England Patriots. A huge welcome and a huge shout out to Atreyu. He's the newest member of MBL, and he also put together that highlight video with LeGarrette Blount and Adrian Peterson. So thank you for that. Make sure you guys keep an eye out for the next episode, and make sure you check out everything else on the MBL Network channel. And as always, if you have anything you want to see more or less of or anything like that in this series, just let me know down in the comments.